teach your team that the relationship and the longevity of that relationship is more important than the instant sale. You cannot be a great resource for your target customer if you are not good at stewarding that relationship.
Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and I'm joined today by one of the most talented, life-inspiring professionals I have ever known, and the most skilled musician I've ever had the pleasure of sharing a stage with, the one and only Nate White. And you guys are in for a real treat because Nate is going to shed some light on an ingredient that I promise every person listening to this podcast, if you work for a small business, if you are living in the headwinds of small business America right now, you need this message. I was lucky enough to hear it a few weeks ago, and I said immediately, we've got to get that on the show. But just so you know who Nate is, he's way more famouser than anybody in this room. Nate is the host of Chords and Coffee, which is now amassed over 1 million views on YouTube. And you need to stop what you're doing right now and click the link to go over to watch Chords and Coffee to just absorb some of Nate's greatness. You're going to see what a special musician he is, but also the joy that he brings to everything he does. And he's going to dissect some of that for us today. But Chords and Coffee YouTube show, you got to check it out. Even if you're not a musician, you're probably not even going to come back here. You're going to sit there and watch that for hours. I know I have. So in the daytime, Nate is the district manager of Palin Music Center, a family-owned music retailer spanning 10 locations throughout the Midwest. We're going to talk about what's going on in their industry and kind of how some of Nate's methods are causing them to grow while the rest of their industry shrinks. He is a dad to Jackson and Rowan. He's a husband to Jessica. They are worship leaders. They founded a little church called Revolution Church in Columbia, Missouri, before he came on to the music company. He's an accomplished songwriter and guitarist, a Jesus follower, a master of creating magnetic customer experiences, which has taken this family-owned music store to being one of the top 25 music retailers in the world. While the music retail industry continues to suffer, closing its stores across America, Palin Music continues to grow by double digits. And I know that's synonymous with what everybody on this podcast is going, how do the little guys compete with the big guys? We're going to talk to you about how to do that today. And it's largely going to have to do with the magic Nate and his team have learned to bottle up and duplicate across their footprint in the Midwest. And I'm just so happy and proud to have you. Thank you for being here today.
Man, what a pump up.
Yes.
I'm ready to meet me.
Yeah.
Man,
wouldn't you like to hang out with that guy?
Yeah, I would. I hope I can live up to that. Thank you for that. That was encouraging.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for being here because I actually have, I'm following your footsteps, watching your podcast. I'm watching what you guys have been able to build. Seriously, you've got to go watch that. But recently, we got to share the duty of kind of leading some new thoughts for a strategic planning summit. Mm-hmm. And the concept of bringing experience to small business America. In your world, it's retail. A lot of our listeners are directing, contractor type businesses or service-based companies. And the main thing that just made me go, that is so true, is how we talked about as big box, as e-commerce, as bigger competitors come in and sort of like steamroll over, small business owners, even ones that are in the 5, 10, $50 million range, they're getting eaten by transactional experience. Our human and empathetic connections with customers are the last thing that we really have to stand on, right?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I would encapsulate that into one idea, if the experience of your store doesn't trump or doesn't offer more than the convenience of click buy now online, you're not going to make it.
Not going to make it. You're seeing that left and right.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your industry and kind of how that's manifesting in music retail, which I think is synonymous with so many.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So music retail, there's no two ways about it. Music retail is a luxury item, right? We're not selling heart valve transplants, right? Mm-hmm. This is something that musical instruments are attached to dreams. They are tangible scepters to guide someone through the adventure that is legacy, right? I think about this all the time. So I play guitar, and I've got two little boys. Well, I mean, they're not little. In fact, Jackson, who is 15 in July, is taller than me.
Oh, wow.
But I still retain a psychological advantage at this point.
Momentarily, yeah.
Anyway, and Rowan is 10, and Rowan has been guitar curious. Jackson is very creative in other ways. He takes after his mom, which my wife is the most creative among us. She's a painter, she's a photographer, she's a singer, she's wonderful. I love you, Jess. And anyway, Rowan's become guitar curious. So I got him a little guitar, right? And when he first got it, and he was playing it, and of course, you're learning to play guitar, it doesn't sound great, but I'm just my heart's exploding just watching him do this. This thought occurred to me that he's been watching me play.
Wow.
And my guitars will outlive me. And what I would like to provide is a little framework, and I have no idea where we're going to go discussion-wise. I'm just here for the ride, okay? But when it comes to thinking about sustaining the rhythm, sustainable rhythm is a big deal to me. When it comes to think about sustaining the rhythm of what a great, remarkable customer experience should be, you have to be grateful for the moment that you have with every single person. And when people stop becoming customers and actually become people that have come into your lives, you can kind of enter into that faster. Because the truth is Rowan one day will be playing my guitar long after I'm gone, but the songs and the things that I put in that guitar, his memory of me playing it, the sounds that have like sort of reverberated through his memory of me playing it, it's all in there.
Oh, it's physical.
Right.
Literally the sweat and tears in your
100%.
guitar. Yeah.
And then in the same breath, right now, to tie that back into the subject at hand, is that if you think about, like, when I say, who was the best waitress you ever had? You might not remember her name, right? But I was just having breakfast this morning with a group of friends, and we were at this place called the Big Biscuit. And that's
Big
a chain.
Biscuit.
Yeah. Big Biscuit. Yeah.
They got something going right there.
Yeah, they do. And there's actually a couple in Overland Park area, which is the last time we had one. And this waitress, she was so remarkable, right? And we even said, "Oh, remember that waitress?" And she was so great. And she was kind of, giving us a hard time in a fun way. And she made that more than just a food experience. And so that's what we're talking about, is when you can take something that could be mundane and you make it meaningful.
Love that. So you just said a lot there, and you did it in the lens of music, retail, and biscuits,
which is honestly my life.
That's your love languages, yeah. Guitar and biscuits. So there are probably some retailers and music retailers, maybe even listen to this podcast, and I think that's an easy analogy to go from selling a guitar to selling a lifelong heirloom. Like we do that with jewelry, we do that with some of the higher end home products we sell. But really, that's true. You just said the experience that you give. You may not remember the name. You may not even remember the name of the store, like 20, 30 years now. But if you're transferring confidence and transferring meaning and value in that experience, that is a rare thing. And I think every consumer of today, whether they're buying a plumber, or whether they're buying a new barbecue grill, or whether they're buying an engagement ring, or whether they're buying a musical instrument,
right?
They're starving for that. America, the world is starving for that authenticity factor.
Yeah.
And I know, because I live it and I've been inside your stores, that you guys are doing that. And I think it starts with that belief that you just said. We aren't selling guitars. We're selling lifelong means of expressing people. If nothing else, we're selling today's gift of our presence in their life, right?
Yeah, and I'll give you something else too. If you're watching this, and whatever it is you sell, fishing poles, guns, tennis balls, whatever. Yeah, that'd be a great store, fishing pole, guns, and tennis balls. Anyway, whatever you're selling, if your people, your team, the folks that are interacting with the people that come walking through the door, calling on the phone, chatting online, if they don't have a greater sense of purpose attached to what they're doing, this whole idea of be, do, have.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, well, if I, have this, if I have this degree, then I'll do this job and then I'll be somebody. Wrong. That's opposite. You have to decide who it is you are, right? Whatever you do flows out of that decision.
Belief,
Yeah, who you are.
values. Yeah.
Yeah, are you somebody that's remarkable? Are you important? You have to decide who you are, okay? And you have to decide what I do, regardless of what that is, has meaning to it. And then you will have the fruits of that decision,
Mm.
that belief, and the actions that reinforce that belief. And so when it comes to people walking in your store or calling on the phone, if you're going to have sustainable rhythm of an excellent experience, a remarkable experience that people are going to talk about, and people go, God, that was great. Because we've all had that. You doesn't matter where it is. Could be at a restaurant, could be at a church, could
Mm.
be at a tire store.
Yeah.
When you meet somebody that's really great and they turn it on and you felt like it was real, you walk away and you tell somebody. And what's really funny is that especially when it's something that's mundane or just everyday, like a new set of tires
Yeah.
or tennis balls, fishing poles, and guns. Is that what I said? Anyway,
The-
any one of those things.
The expectation is low.
The expectation is low because we are conditioned to get in and get out, which, by the way, is the biggest downfall of online buying because it is literally conditioning us to just buy it now and go through the motions as quick as you can to get what it is you want. I see you got something to say.
Isn't that priming the opportunity, though, for small business, retail, brick and mortar, in-home services to be the saving
Oh, yeah.
grace? Because it's creating a starvation. Like, it's drying people out. Like, just that. I think we saw the peak of it in when we were stuck at home and couldn't do the retail experience. And you did see, after people were let out of their prison walls, essentially, you saw the rush back to anything experience-based, restaurants,
100%.
vacations. I think retailers who understood that was their opportunity thrived, and I think you guys are in that category.
Yeah.
But the retailers that went, okay, well, now we're allowed to sell again, the ones that didn't offer anything more are losing, and they're dying. They've died. You're seeing them die, literally. There's a book on this shelf called Good Company, written by a wonderful guy, Tim Miles. And he talks about share-worthy service. And he goes, customer experiences don't become share-worthy when they're good or average. They become share-worthy when they're noticeably awful or noticeably great.
Yeah.
And there's a bar of expectation. And if you land anywhere within a 10% margin of expectation, it probably won't leave your experience. But if it exceeds that, marginal difference above expected, home runs.
It's remarkable. Seth Godin, Purple Cow.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he's a Seth Godin guy, and so am I.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody knows that as a concept. How is it that you and your team are doing that in practicality? Because you just said the big thing, and we talk a lot about vision, values, and vows for companies. The companies that are destined to grow, without a doubt, they will grow no matter what. Is the ones that have strong vision, strong values, strong vows to their customers, and that is the B. They've decided who they're going to be. What's different inside your organization that allows your team members to show up being something different versus just trying to train them? I want to talk about training in a second, but what is that?
Well, so you said two things there. You said one was like, what are some of the tangible things that you do? And then the second thing you said was what's different. And to address the second part just very quickly, that the core values of the company are really important. And we can circle back to that, but I want to answer that first question. What's some of the tangible things? So I'll tell you. And also, like, I realize there may be competitors of the company I work for listening to this right quick. And I have no fear of giving this out. And I'll tell you why, because most people won't do this. Because when it comes to atmosphere, when it comes to, when it comes to culture, the danger is, no, actually it's not a danger. It's the high cost. The high cost is that as a leader, if you don't submit to culture and to the atmosphere, and if you don't claim ownership of like whatever's happening here is what's going to happen out here, right? And if you don't, good and bad, right?
Right.
If you're relying on how I feel and circumstances or what happens to you, happiness comes from what happens to you. Joy is a choice.
Oh, man.
Okay. And if you don't actually willfully decide to do this, you won't do it. You won't do it. It's not sustainable. And you're like, well, how do you know that, Nate? Well, because I've had the human condition for a hot minute. All right. It's just the truth, right? It's like working out, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. Like I'm not the guy to seek, physical maintenance advice from, right? But I do know, like, if you're going to do it, you got to commit to it and you got to have the discipline to do it. It's the same thing. How you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Right.
So first thing, I'll give you some tangibles, just a few that'll help your business. Because somebody's listening to this right now and they need something because they're going to tune off here in a second because we're just talking, right?
I think they're leaning in. But
They're leaning in. Okay, that's right. Well,
thanks to
you're an upbeat guy, right?
Yeah. No, this is you. Yeah, but give us
Okay.
rate on us.
So here's one. Every single person that walks through your door, they got to get greeted, and they have to have a real greeting. It can't be welcome in.
Yeah.
It can't be how we doing today? Can I help you find anything? No, just looking. It can't be that. It has to be a genuine, heartfelt. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah.
You have to look them in the eyes. You know what that feels like, and it doesn't have to be Norm from Cheers every time, but sometimes it has to be.
Yeah.
So like yesterday, we had a guy come walking in the door that works here. Now that, by the way, quick side point: everybody, people that work there. Do you know why? Because as soon as we stop greeting the people that work for the company in the same way that we greet the people that are customers, we've instantly, subconsciously differentiated your customers and your people that work here.
Wow.
Huge mistake.
Just quick thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my guys who go in and they meet with their sales teams in the morning that go out to people's homes. What's the impact of that owner doing that for their people? Just walking in the door, say to a electrician company, and he's got 30 minutes with his team before they go get in their trucks and go out. Like you're talking about a retail experience, but also if that owner is greeting his guys and gals with that enthusiasm, that joy, that decided hospitality, how does that play?
Well, it's back to what I said earlier. I mean, if I'll say it this way. So I've got some things, and we can discuss this either now or some other date, but I've got some what I would call sort of givens about what atmosphere is. And very quickly, atmosphere is a garden. You have to tend it. Okay. And if you don't, it will be overrun. There's no two ways about it. And it will be overrun by whatever occurs naturally, which is not always good.
Yeah.
And so to that end, as an owner of a business who goes out to see, his team or whatever, as soon as you decide intentionally, I am going to steward this atmosphere, because the atmosphere is the intangible framework that holds all of the relationships that I have an influence over. And if I'm intentional with that, then I will actually reap the fruit of that intentionality, which ultimately comes into play of like little things, like, well, big things and little things like people put a little extra effort in there because they know my boss cares, my leader cares. Also, people start to see themselves in a different light because, gosh, this guy took the time to come greet me this morning. And I really felt like it was genuine, which, by the way, backing up just 2 steps here, whether you're greeting someone walking through the door that's on your team or a customer, that greeting, you're like, well, how do I summons up authenticity? Because not everybody is able to tap into the verbal language in a way where they can convey what is really in the heart, right? I recognize that, right? Some people are...
Not everybody's innate.
Well, some people are soft talkers, right?
Yeah.
You've had a couple on the podcast here and there, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. We're just wired up different. That's okay.
Yes.
So what do? Well, you got to find a way to let that person know that is in your authentic... there's a great book called The 5 Love Languages. Who wrote that book? Do you remember?
Is it Harper?
That sounds pretty good. We can go with that. 5
Gary
Love
Harper?
Languages. Look it up. Anyway.
Gary Harper, if I was right, Nate's going to leave that in here. Nate, the camera guy, is going to leave that in
Gotcha. Okay. We got 2 Nates here.
Yeah. Nate, the camera guy, and Nate, the
talking head
guitar guy.
Okay.
And
Gary Chapman. There you go.
Harper.
There you go. Yeah,
Gary Chapman.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you know him close enough, you call him Harper.
Yeah.
Anyway.
His best friends call him Harper.
So you got to find a way to let people know that you care. I work with wonderful people that are wired up very different than me. And I know when they have intentionally reached out to me just to, hey, man, how you doing today? What's going on in your life? Tell me what's going on. And they just take the time just to listen. I'll give you one more nugget. Is that okay?
Lay it on us.
So greet every single person. If you're not doing daily huddles Stop that. You got to, I keep looking. Is this my camera right here?
That's your camera.
Okay. Hello, people. If you're not doing daily huddles, you got to start doing daily huddles. And you need to start every single daily huddle with tell me something good.
That is so powerful.
Tell me something good is going to change your life. Now, at first, you will be pulling teeth and trying to excavate iron ore from the depths of the earth because people will be struggling. Or
You're going to have an Eeyore.
yeah, sure. Or you're going to have people that are, I don't know, man, just woke up this morning, had some pretty good toast. You know, it'll be stuff that's like that.
Yeah.
And then you have some people that'll overshare, right? But tell me something good is about two things. Number one, it's about getting your team to audibly express gratitude. Their ears hear their voice express gratitude. Gratitude and pridefulness cannot coexist. And the reason we don't show our customers and we don't show the people that we work with true appreciation is because we're not grateful for where we are and for what we're doing. And the reason we're not grateful for where we are and what we're doing is that we feel entitled to be somewhere else. And the reason we feel entitled to be somewhere else is deep down inside, there's some kind of pride issue.
Yeah. Amen. Because what was the thing you said? Gratitude and
pride cannot coexist.
Gratitude and pride cannot coexist.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, Nate. I'm really proud of my company. We use that word proud in a way where we find a sense of purpose, honor, dedication, and upholding, the tradition of something. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is arrogance.
The healthy side of proud is gratitude.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm grateful. Like, for example, you should be and are very proud of this company and the wonderful people that you get to work with, right? Why wouldn't you be? Same way I'm proud of the company that I'm in, right?
Yes.
But I also know that if I walk back to the bathroom and that bathroom needs to be addressed, I'm going to address it,
Because pride left the building when you started with gratitude for the day.
And actually, I'm going to clean it well because I am proud of the company. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so and I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I might talk about it on a podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick side note, that is alive in your company. Fun fact, I literally used to be the guy that cleaned the bathrooms inside Nate's company. That was my first job in my life outside.
Man, there might be something to clean in the bathroom.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like maybe if you want to do well in life, you should clean the bathroom at Palin Music Center, Springfield, Missouri.
The one of the owners of the company, I came in one day and he was doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
It was Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Dan, I got thank you, but I got it. And he's like, nope, I saw it and it needed to be done and I'm doing it.
There you go.
So, and that kind of thing, what are we talking about here? We're talking about values.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a company that's decided to be something more than a peddler of widgets or even services. And you guys have one of the easiest joy services to tap into because you're giving the gift of music.
Yeah.
But if your people don't remember that, and I think the reason some of your competitors, large ones, have unfortunately gone out of business, and that's not good news, right? That's bad news for the industry. They forgot that, right? They became retailers instead of revolutionaries in their customers' lives, right?
Yeah. I'll give you a quick intangible thing that has helped me. The intangibles I find for my life are good for realignment of my values, the vision, and the vows. The tangibles are good for the day-to-day, short-term, right? And I was cleaning that bathroom.
Same one.
Yep.
Where'd it go?
And I was upset that day. This has been a few years ago. And I remember I even, how you have conversations with yourself sometimes, and sometimes you're thinking so loud in your head, sometimes it actually comes out of your mouth, right? And I'm like, I got a college degree. Why am I cleaning this? That was happening, right? And I'll say this, and this might unnerve a few of you, but that's okay. You'll get over it. The Holy Spirit was like, to be a great leader, you need to be a seer, a centurion, and a servant. You got to have a vision for the future. And you have to protect the people that are following you into that vision. And you have to be willing to serve them, even down to scrubbing the toilet.
So true.
Right? The greatest leader of all time washed feet.
What he did. Yes, he did.
So, tangibles. Greet every single person that comes walking through the door, even the people that work there. Also, on the way out, everybody gets 2 greetings. Everybody gets 2 greetings. Everybody gets 2 greetings. I said it 3 times so you can remember. Everybody gets 2 greetings. Okay? That's non-negotiable. Why? Because they need to know you were grateful that you came, and they need to know that you were grateful that they will return.
Heck yeah.
Okay? Number 2, when you answer the phone, you have to put a smile on your voice. You have to. Right? And here's why.
Love that.
Listen to Garth Brooks, Unanswered Prayers. Some of God's greatest gifts. There's that little line at the end. You can hear him smile.
You can hear it.
If somebody can't hear Garth Brooks smile and you comment on this podcast, I'm gonna leave a comment right underneath it, right there, and I challenge you. You can hear him smile at the end. People can hear you smile on the phone. Why is that important, Nate? Well, I'm gonna tell you. It's important because a smile conveys confidence. When you smile, that person, let's say they're calling, they're upset. You've just taken them down a notch, right? Because when you make yourself smile, there's a confidence there, right? Let's say they're happy or they're curious about something they saw like on our website, or maybe something they saw the last time, whatever the case may be. When you have that smile in your voice, it just elevates your ability to serve them in a way because you're happy to do it.
You're transferring light. Darkness is the absence of light. That's all that it is. And when you shine light on darkness, it goes away, right?
Yeah.
Transferring that joy.
So here's another nugget. I hesitate to give away these secret sauces, right? But here's a nugget of sauce here. Is that possible? Sauce Nugget? Did you and I play in a band called Sauce Nugget?
We should have.
Yeah, exactly. So, as an owner, borrow a friend's phone. Call your business and see how they greet, and then be honest with that. And if they don't greet you well, that's your fault.
Receive that and do something about it.
That's your fault. Yeah. And so then what you need to do is you need to talk about it more, right? And then the other thing is, if you're not modeling it, this last, as I'll say about it, you have to model that. Yeah.
Similarly, if you find it done, if you're like, oh, if you're surprised or you're, pleasantly validated that, oh yeah, my people are doing that, walk in and make a spectacle of it. Celebration is just as, powerful as criticism in that environment.
Yep. I do this. I will call the stores from time to time and just see. And if I get a great greeting, I'll like, what a great greeting. That was awesome. You do that every time? You know what I mean? And I do that. And if somebody that I work with on my teams is watching this, they'll know that is true because I do that because I also know how hard it is. Because sometimes you may have 50 things going on and 49 of them might be wrong. You know what I mean? And then here comes the phone and you're answering it, and it'd be really easy to be like, my business, what do you want? Right. Yeah. And then, or even, can I put you on hold real quick? And even if you have to do that, even if it's a situation where you're just swamped, you can still put a smile on your voice.
Love that. It's a choice. It literally
is a choice.
Is a choice.
Yeah.
And you can, there's days you're going to have to fake it. I think those are the days you go back to, who do you believe you are?
100%. And in fact, so I like to use a lot of movie analogy comparisons. Do you remember that movie Signs, Mel Gibson, it was the aliens?
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretend we've all seen it.
Yeah. Well, come to find out, it's an alien invasion. All right. And it's an interesting character because Mel Gibson's character is a former priest who's walked away from the faith due to a tragedy. Right. And it's a really great watch because there's a lot of things that happen in that. And in this moment where the house is being overrun by aliens, and basically they're all going to die. Like, I mean, it's like worst case scenario. It's him and his family, his young children. And what he does is he starts telling each one of them, hey, when you were born, and he talks about how wonderful and joyful their beginning is, metaphorically, at the time where maybe their end is coming. They end up making it out, and it ends up being a happy ending, very triumphant. And in that moment, he chooses to change the atmosphere, or at least, even though it's a horrible situation happening, he is still unwilling to hand over ownership of it to this imminent threat. And he is fighting for it. And see, that's what, to me, relentless optimism is. It's when you're basically like, I am unwilling to hand over the atmosphere of my interior or my exterior to whatever pervasive thought is saying, this is what it has to be, right? I'm just unwilling to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. That's huge. And that we tend to think of changing atmosphere or behavior as like, do this mechanical thing. No, you're going to say this, you're going to read this script, or you're going to do this when somebody walks in, and it's a checklist. that might be a safety net. That might be the whole we fall to the level of our systems rather than rise to the level of our goals.
Yeah.
But the way in which you do it, I think, is so tied to who you believe you are when you walk in. I'm so glad you said that. So you've talked to us about greetings, smile while you talk.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's more nuggets in there.
Oh, man.
I know you
How
got
many
more
nuggets
sauce.
you want? Sauce
Keep
nuggets.
going. Yeah.
I'm actually sitting here deliberating how good of a sauce nugget do I want to give. You know what I mean? Because I got some...
Guitar Center ain't listening to this.
You never know.
It wouldn't help them if they did. No.
All right. Okay. So this is probably, there's a lot to unpack here, and this may be the sauciest of the nuggets, but are you a good resource for your target customer? Well, that doesn't sound like a nugget. Well, my friend, keep listening. So what does it mean to be a resource for your target customer? Well, first of all, if you're really paying attention to that question, if you don't know who your target customer is, you're going to waste a lot of energy becoming a resource for someone you don't know. Okay? So you need to know who your target customer is, which means you need to pay attention, which means you need to be honest with yourself. You need to think about, what is it that I sell? Who buys it in the most quantities at the most frequency, right? And then once you figure that out, then you have to look at yourself as a business owner, as a business leader, as a team member of that business, and you have to ask yourself, am I the kind of person that our target customer will go to for advice, for counsel, for encouragement, for not just goods and services, but for the peripheral framework, which ultimately holds up, supports, and is the integrity beneath a trusting relationship.
Yeah.
See, what happens is salespeople rush to make the sale without making the relationship, and you get neither. When you actually take time to invest in the relationship, well, what do you mean by that, Nate? Well, see, here's the thing, is that when you know that you're a great resource for your target customer, at the beginning of that relationship, you're just getting to know a person. And as you're getting to know them, if lo and behold, that person fits the criteria of your target customer, when you start talking about the things that make you a great resource for that target customer, you'll see their ears perk up.
Yeah.
And it won't be any trouble to talk about, because guess what? You're passionate about it. Here's the thing about music retail. I play guitar. I've been playing guitar for 32 years. I love it. Nobody has to tell me, hey, you should go play guitar, right? Sometimes there's a time pain point, right? Because it's just, I'm 48 years old, got 2 kids, happily married. You know, I got a business that's dependent on me. I got things happening, right?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that tonight, we're doing this podcast right now.
Yeah.
But tonight, I will be laying in my bed. I'll have my soft pants on, okay? And I'll be laying in my bed, and I will be looking at my phone at guitars, or listening to Rick Beato or Tom Bukovac or whoever. You know why? Because I love it.
In your most natural state.
With soft pants. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it, right? And that's the thing, is that a lot of times, you know, I'll tell people this all the time, like, man, how come I don't sell as much as this person over here? And I'll say, well, I'll be honest with you. You don't love what your target customer loves to the degree that they love it, right? You are not passionately into it.
Do you think that can be trained?
To a degree. Just like this, I think you can teach somebody music. I think you could teach somebody feel. I really do. And I know that for musicians out there, like, that was a hot take that just went over the bow.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, no, you cannot.
I believe you can.
I believe you can. And here's why I'll say that. Because music is a language, and you can teach dialect.
Yeah.
The issue is whether or not the person speaking the language wants to take the time to invest in the nuance of dialect. Went to Brazil once. Palin Music Center will, as profitability will allow, occasionally will put together teams to go to Brazil to help build churches, which is an amazing thing.
Wow.
Right.
Cool.
So actually went with Eric and a few other folks to Brazil. We had some adventures. It was great. We built a church. And when I noticed, and I walked away with, among lots of other things that were life-changing, was that when in Brazil they speak Portuguese. And the only Portuguese that I remember is bom dia, boa noite, which is good morning, good night, and segundo sete horas na igreja, which means Sunday night at 7 p.m. at the church.
Oh,
right. And if you speak Portuguese and I didn't say it right, it's been a few years. All right. So anyway, all that to say this is that the group which was all well-meaning people that were there for the same vision. They got the purpose. They knew the directive. They knew what the mission was and happy to do it. But not everybody took time to invest in the nuance of the dialect. And that was an interesting thing because there is a willful entering in, just like there's a willful entering into the moment.
Yeah.
Like right now, this moment feels different than 17 moments ago when we were just talking about doing this.
Of course.
Because there's an intentionality in this atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens is to be a great resource for your target customer, and this will change your life. This is why I before I said this, I was like, I'm kind of nervous to give this one out, but I'm just going to do it because honestly, most of you won't do it. I love you, but you won't do it. And the reason you won't do it is because
it's true.
Well, it requires vulnerability, and you have to practice it. Nobody's naturally good at this. You have moments, but nobody in terms of sustainable rhythm is naturally good at this. You got to practice it. What do I mean? When you go through the line at a big box retailer to buy, your Febreze and flip-flops, right? Tennis balls, guns, and what was it? Fishing poles? Yeah. When you go through the line to do that, you need to make that a meaningful moment and not a mundane moment. You need to do that. If you're serious about being a resource for your target customer, because to be a true resource for your target customer requires a lifestyle dedication to where you're living it all the time. Your target customer, especially if you sell luxury items, pain point is time, and also people who have a high propensity to buy really nice things also have a high degree of relationships in their life that aren't real.
Yeah, they're filling a hole.
Yeah, and so
often, I mean, that's not a Band-Aid or a blanket statement, I should say.
Well, how about this? You're a successful guy, right?
Debatable, but I'm on the
to
path.
me, I tell you what, to me, you're a successful guy, and for this is good enough.
A wonderful team and a beautiful family,
right?
And blessed with many friends,
right? And so what happens is anytime you achieve any modicum of success, there begin to be relationships in your life where you start to get, and especially the older you get, you start to realize, they actually want to be around me for what I can do for them or for what I have, and not necessarily for who I am. And you start to differentiate
that. Can happen. I've seen that happen.
100%.
Sure.
And I would even argue that it happens a lot, not because there's just so many fake people out there in the world, which there are a lot of people that struggle with knowing who they are. So how could they ever be who they are for someone else, right? But there's also just a lot of people that are out of practice or choose not to practice being the kind of person that's constantly adding, constantly giving, constantly making the atmosphere better. Imagine if everybody started doing this. Imagine if everybody, no matter where you go, whether it's in the store or even before you walk in the door, when you come home, if you decompressed yourself. Well, Nate, you're telling me I got to be perfect. No, I'm just saying you got to be intentional.
No, it would be a cure for insecurity. It would cure the world of insecurity and emptiness.
Yeah.
Because you would be selling Febreze and flip-flops. You have an opportunity to take that person's money and let them go about their way. Or you have an opportunity to leave them better than you found them. And that could be as simple as a compliment. That could be as simple as eye connection. That could be as simple as a smile. That could be as simple as I have some friends that do this. Hey, I'm going to be praying later at lunch. There's something I can pray for you today.
Yeah, that's great.
Man, I had somebody at Price Cutter do that to me one time. And I was in one of those moments. I was like, get out of this freaking grocery store. And I was like, they did that. And I was like, it changed my day. It changed how I went home and greeted my kids. And so you can disrupt somebody's mundane stress or life and just point them towards the light.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. Eric Matzak, president of Paleo Music Center, has this thing he says all the time. He says, see people in their best possible light. And
a beautiful thing.
It is. And that sounds like you're watching this now and like, enough with the hippie stuff. That's not why I watched Frank and Maven, right?
I believe our listeners are finding the gold here. I really do.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. When you see people in their best possible light, especially when they're not operating in it or they're willfully not operating in it, what happens is that you can actually, there's another level of encouragement. And I feel like I'm all over the place, but to tie it back around to being a great resource for your target customer, part of that deal is you really need to see that person. You need to listen to them, and you need to take time to formulate a relationship. Teach your team that the relationship and the longevity of that relationship is more important than the instant sale. And the other thing is you cannot be a great resource for your target customer if you are not good at stewarding that relationship. Well, what does that mean? Well, if I follow up with you, hey, Brandon, man, it was good to see you the other day at the store. How's it going, man? Great. Well, man, I got some cool guitars in here. Love to see you come in here and, pick one of these out. That's not a relationship.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's contact.
Yeah.
Management. Yeah.
However, if I follow up with you and I was like, hey, I saw this the other day and it's this Rick Beato interview and I was thinking about what you said. And
saw this, thought of you.
Yes, and you got to watch this at 11 minutes and 16 seconds because there's a really cool moment. Would love to know what you think. Hope you're having a great day. Holler at me next time. Right?
Yeah.
That's real, right? And that actually we are now beginning this relationship based on this mutual thing that we both like, which your target customer, in order to be a great resource for them, you got to like the same stuff. So your question was, can you train that? Absolutely, you can train that. It's the deciding factor is, does that person have the willingness to enter into the nuance of it? If they don't, then no, you cannot.
And then that really becomes a matter of recruiting people who are most likely to share those values with you, which leads back to the very first thing is, who have you decided to be?
Yeah.
Be, do, have. I love that. We may name the episode Be, Do, Have.
Be, do, have?
Yeah.
Love it.
So let me try to land this plane a little bit because we're talking about mundane experiences. And you might think, oh, music store, that's easy to do all this stuff in. Honestly,
Super
any
hard.
retail environment is tough because you're typically working with entry-level team members, at least at some level. It could be somebody's first job, theoretically, right? To work in a music store. You're working long hours. It's a lot of the same things day in, day out. And so music retail, while it has this joy product attached to it, even at the most joyous product like jewelry or hobby-related stuff, you can fall into this mundane thing. But it's so much easier for service companies that are selling things that frankly aren't luxury to fall into this. Or I'm thinking legal offices or medical offices. But the thing, the connecting thing is the same. And you told us when you greet somebody warmly, warm things will happen in your environment. When you talk to them on the phone with a smile, you're shining light on their darkness and you were leaving them better than you found them. And you talked about being a resource for your customers. And if that's the thing you've decided to be, as someone who greets somebody warmly, these are do things, but you've decided to be that kind of person. That is, you're making lives better, not making sales better.
Yeah, and you have to remember also, well, at least, and I know you probably believe this too, I don't think you can do anything that doesn't first stem from an interior belief, because action ultimately, like what you believe is ultimately demonstrated in your actions. Like someone says, man, I'm really sorry I, didn't come to work yesterday on time. I'll come tomorrow on time. And they're late again. It's like, what you said yesterday, you didn't believe that because your actions, you know what I'm saying? And I get external things happen, this, that, and the other, but your actions flow out of what you truly believe.
I saw this quote yesterday. The way you see people is the way you'll treat them. And the way you treat them is what they'll become. They'll become an average customer or a repeat customer or a deterrent for your business, right? So take this out to the streets. This is working in live form. It is growing a company in an industry that says you're not allowed to grow right now. It is earning buy-in from a public who is becoming prone to clicking to buy instead of driving in to buy. You guys are creating amazing experiences with your customers, whether they came in to buy, reeds for their clarinet or guitar strings, or maybe the day they buy that brand new instrument. And you're doing it because of who you believe you are, what you believe your mission is to do, and how good it feels. I think once you've done that, it just feels better to do that. It costs nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny is that when you said that it costs nothing more. I mean, I think when you have a day filled with intention, you will sleep good that night. Because
That's right.
I mean, there's a spiritual and mental taxation that happens on that. But like anything else, I mean, the more you do that, the more you practice it, and the more you lift that weight, the stronger you get in it.
It's true. So true. So you don't know that we were going to do this.
Okay.
But maybe it's a symbol of pouring goodness on people. We do have a guitar. We use it to write, scratchy old jingles on, but you're going to make it, I know, turn into a work of magic. Would you play a little something before we close out today?
Yeah. All right.
Would you? Okay. All right.
sure.
All right. Nate,
You know-
Nate, the camera guy, is now handing Nate, the guitar guy.
By the way, in case somebody's watching and they're like, he already had a pick. In every pair of blue jeans, there's this tiny little pocket. The good Lord put that there to hold picks. I'm just
That's right.
telling you. Yeah.
That's right.
If you don't have a pick on you, I mean, this is a great example. You never know. Look at that. It's in tune. What we got here? Some little, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Just anything or anything in particular?
Whatever you feel
All
sets the mood. Wow. That is why Mr. White has millions of views. I highly, highly encourage you. If you're not a musician, it doesn't matter. Go over, do yourself a favor, and subscribe to Chords and Coffee on the Palin Music Center channel. Link is right below. Thank you so much for bringing your joy, the light that you're shining on your company, shining it on the other companies listening to this. Guys, go put this in place. Give people warm greetings. Have huddles. Start your days with something good. The theme of this episode is really joy. Decide to choose that joy.
Yeah.
And you as the leader, if you're shining it on your people, they're going to shine it on their people, and that's going to shine a world of light on the thing you're trying to build. Thank you for joining. We'll be back here every Monday answering your real-life marketing questions, because marketers who can't teach you why
are just a fancy lie.
Have a great week.